The anti-Semitic conspiracy theory buffet. Someone sent me this message on Facebook. What you're about to hear is dramatized to sound the way it sounded in my head when I read it.
In 1897, Theodor Herzl is widely considered the founder of the modern Zionist movement and promoting the idea of a Jewish state in Palestine is what cemented his legacy. This is why they planned WW1 and WW2 to establish the Zionist state in 1948. Before they could do that, they had to dismantle all empires, from Eastern to Western to Middle East. After WW1, they established a League of Nations controlled by the Zionists. Then after WW2, the Anti-Nation was formed. Then MF. Then the Zionist state in 1948. The same people who made WW1 and WW2 happen made United Nations to protect the Zionist state of Israel from both wars. 70 million people died. They controlled both wars. They controlled the money, inflation, interest rates, banks, governments, political parties. If go against them or Israel, they will cripple your country. Inflation, interest rates, petrol dollar. They will make your country go on its knees very fast until you submit to them. Every president who tried to bring USA away from it got killed. Many Arab leaders have got killed. Remember, they say, we have been kicked out of 109 countries. Because of them being Jews? No, it was because they put countries into debt and destroyed countries through debts. Have you ever wondered, after both wars, who controls the countries? Why are the countries in debt and high inflation rates? The world's debt is over 300 plus trillion. Many countries on its knees from debt. The reason why? Because they are destroying the countries who keep them out. All 109 of them. They are called Khazarian. Khazar. Learn who they are. From Rothschilds, Rockefellers, Morgans, Lee, Esther's, Bilderberg's, BlackRock. They claim to be Jewish. They ain't. They are godless satanic people who worship Baal. Zionism and Judaism ain't the same. Khazarians. Khazar or Sisa, the originally Egyptian family. Rothschilds from Nimrod, that's their bloodline. You guys ain't Semitic people. You're all from Europe, not the middle. You worship Baal, not God. The Palestinians, Christians, and Arab Palestinians are the Semitic people. Soft.
Well, that was not a message. That was an anti-Semitic charcuterie board. A little Jews started both world wars. A little Jews control the banks. A generous smear of Rothschilds. Some Khazars sprinkled on top like conspiracy parsley. Add Baal worship for theological seasoning. 109 countries for that white supremacist aftertaste. And serve it warm on a bed of historical illiteracy. Chef's kiss. In short, every major claim in that message is recycled anti-Semitic folklore dressed up as insight. Here is why each one collapses under basic history, basic economics, basic genetics, and basic literacy. It is not original, not brave, not research. It is the same recycled garbage Jews have heard for centuries, now with worse spelling and a Facebook account. So let's answer it. Herzl, Zionism, and actual history. Yes, Theodor Herzl was central to modern political Zionism. In 1897, he convened the first Zionist Congress in Basel, where the Basel program stated Zionism's goal, a publicly and legally secured homeland for the Jewish people in Palestine. That is history. Not sorcery, not Baal, not some secret meeting of villains twirling mustaches over Rugelach. History. Zionism did not emerge because Jews woke up one morning and decided to colonize someone else's story. It emerged because Jews were a people in exile, repeatedly persecuted, repeatedly expelled, repeatedly told that no matter how much they assimilated, prayed, paid taxes, fought in armies, spoke the local language, or changed their names, they would never truly be safe as a powerless minority. Zionism was not a plot to dominate the world. It was a movement to stop being at the mercy of it. World wars and a fantasy of Jewish control. No, Jews did not plan World War I. World War I began after the assassination of Archduke Franz Ferdinand in 1914, but the war itself grew out of militarism, imperial rivalries, nationalism, alliances, and the collapse of European diplomacy. Two, that is what historians study, not the Zionists did it. If your explanation of a global catastrophe can fit on a bumper sticker next to Wake Up Sheeple, it is probably not scholarship. No, Jews did not plan World War II. World War II began in Europe when Nazi Germany invaded Poland on September 1st, 1939. The Nazi regime then carried out the Holocaust, the systematic state sponsored persecution and murder of 6 million Jews. So the claim here is that Jews secretly orchestrated the war in which 1/3 of the world's Jews were exterminated. That is not just stupid, it is morally obscene. And it is the exact kind of lie that helped make the Holocaust possible in the first place. The Nazis did not need Jews to actually control the world. They only needed enough people to believe they did. That is how conspiracy theories work. They do not explain evil, they manufacture permission for it. The UN, the IMF, and calendar problems. No, the United Nations was not created to protect Israel. The UN Charter was signed in San Francisco on June 26, 1945. 5. Israel declared independence on May 14th, 1948. 6. That means the United Nations existed almost 3 years before Israel existed as a modern state. Time is tricky, I know, but calendars are not Zionist propaganda. No, the IMF was not created by Zionists to create Israel either. The IMF came out of the Bretton Woods Conference in 1944, where delegates from 44 countries met to design a post war monetary system after the devastation of depression and war. 7. You can criticize the IMF, you can criticize global finance, you can criticize debt systems, central banks, and international institutions. Fine, put on a blazer and go wild. But the Jews did it is not economics. It is medieval scapegoating with a Wi Fi connection. And neither is basic post war economic history. Banks, inflation, and the Rothschild starter pack. No, Jews do not control inflation. Banks, governments, political parties, or why your cousin still owes you $40. In the United States, interest rate policy is handled by the Federal Reserve, whose monetary policy goals are assigned by Congress: maximum employment and stable prices. Again, you can criticize the Fed, many people do, but blaming Jews for inflation is not financial analysis. It is what happens when someone discovers macroeconomics and anti Semitism in the same afternoon and understands neither. Then we get to the Rothschilds control everything part. Of course we do, because no anti Semitic conspiracy theory is complete without a Rothschild. It is like parsley on bad diner food. Nobody asked for it, but there it is. The Rothschilds conspiracy belongs to the same family of lies as the Protocols of the Elders of Zion, one of the most infamous anti Semitic forgeries in modern history. The U.S. Holocaust Memorial Museum describes the protocols as a fake document used for more than 120 years to spread conspiracy theories about Jews. Another U.S. HMM exhibit explains that the supposed Jewish plot to rule the world, manipulate the economy, control the media, and foster religious conflict never existed. 9. False when it was published. False when Nazis used it. False now when some genius on Facebook repackages it with typos. The 109 countries lie. Then comes the 109 countries line. That is not history. That is white supremacist shorthand. The ADL identifies 109 over 110 as an anti-Semitic claim used to suggest Jews deserved persecution because they were supposedly expelled from 109 countries. 10. It is not a serious historical argument. It is a way of blaming Jews for the violence committed against them. Imagine looking at centuries of expulsions, ghettos, forced conversions, pogroms, massacres, and genocide, and concluding, well, maybe the Jews had it coming. That is not analysis. That is hatred doing paperwork. This is one of the oldest tricks in the anti Semitic playbook. First, persecute Jews, then point to the persecution as proof that Jews deserved it. That is not history. That is an arsonist blaming the smoke. Khazars, fake Jews, and erasure with footnotes. Then we arrive at the Khazar theory. Ah, yes, the Khazars, the favorite bedtime story of people who desperately need Jews to be fake. The claim is that Ashkenazi Jews are not really descendants of ancient Israelites, but instead descendants of converts from the Khazar kingdom. This theory is used constantly to erase Jewish peoplehood, Jewish history, and Jewish connection to the land of Israel. There is just one tiny problem. Genetic research does not support the claim that Ashkenazi Jews are primarily Khazar. A 2013 genome wide study found no evidence of a Khazar origin for Ashkenazi Jews, and a 2010 study found major Jewish diaspora populations form distinct genetic clusters with shared Middle Eastern ancestry and normal human language. Jews are a Levanting people who lived in exile among other peoples. That is what exile means. But also, Jewish identity has never been reducible to a spit tube and a DNA percentage. Jewish identity is peoplehood, culture, language, law, memory, covenant, family, continuity, and history. DNA can support that story, but it does not create it. The Khazar theory is not really about genetics. It is about erasure. It is the latest attempt to tell Jews, you are not who you say you are, and your history does not belong to you. We have heard that before, usually right before someone tries to take something else from us. Semitic, Hebrew, and gas station sushi chutzpah. And let's talk about Semitic. The word Semitic originally refers to a family of languages, including Hebrew, Arabic, Aramaic, Amharic, and others. 12. Jews speak Hebrew. Jews preserved Hebrew. Jews prayed in Hebrew across exile. Jews read Torah in Hebrew. Jews said next year in Jerusalem for centuries before Facebook University discovered geopolitics. Trying to tell Jews they are not Semitic while using a term built around Hebrew is a special kind of chutzpah, not the good kind, the gas station sushi kind. Zionism and Judaism are not identical, but they are connected now. Here is the one sentence in that entire message that accidentally bumps into something true. Zionism and Judaism ain't the same. Correct. They are not identical. Judaism is the religion, civilization, law, culture, memory, covenant, and peoplehood of the Jews. Zionism is the movement for Jewish self determination in the ancestral homeland of the Jewish people. They are not the same thing, but they are deeply connected because Jews are not merely a religious group. We are a people, a nation, a civilization, a family with a long memory and an even longer list of people who tried to explain us out of existence. You can criticize Israeli policy. Israelis do it every day. Jews do it every minute. We argue so much we turn disagreement into sacred literature. The Talmud is basically thousands of pages of, actually, Rabbi Akiva. Let me stop you right there. You can criticize Israeli settlements, judicial reform, coalition politics, military decisions, or Gaza policy, just as Israelis themselves do every day in their own press and streets. That is not anti Semitism. But saying the Jewish state alone has no right to exist, saying Jews alone are fake, saying Jewish sovereignty is a global satanic conspiracy, saying Jews secretly control wars, banks, governments, presidents, and the world economy, that is not criticism. That is anti Semitism with a thesaurus and a head injury. Why this garbage keeps coming back? And here is the deeper point. Conspiracy theories like this do not exist because people know too much. They exist because people understand too little. The world is complicated. War is complicated. Debt is complicated. Inflation is complicated. Empires rise and fall for reasons that require reading books without YouTube thumbnails. But conspiracy theories offer something easier: one villain, one cause, one answer. And for 2,000 years, that villain has been the Jew as banker, the Jew as communist, the Jew as capitalist, the Jew as foreigner, the Jew as infiltrator, the Jew as white, the Jew as not white, the Jew as too religious, the Jew as godless, the Jew as weak, the Jew as secretly all powerful. Pick a century, the costume changes, the accusation does not. This Facebook message is not new. It is old wine in a cracked plastic cup. It is the same lie that said Jews poisoned wells during the Black Death, the same lie that said Jews used Christian blood for methanol, the same lie that said Jews controlled capitalism and communism at the same time, because apparently we are both greedy bankers and revolutionary Marxists, depending on which fever dream is trending. Enough. The real reason we are still here: Jews did not survive 3,000 years because we controlled the world. We survived because we refused to disappear from it. We survived Egypt, Babylon, Rome, exile, inquisitions, pogroms, expulsions, ghettos, Nazis, Soviet repression, Arab expulsions, terrorism, and now the comment section. And we are still here, still Jewish, still singing, still arguing, still lighting candles, still saying Shema, still facing Jerusalem, still refusing to let people who know nothing about us define us. So, to the person who sent me that message, thank you. Not because you were right, because you reminded me why we speak. You reminded me why silence is not dignity when lies are loud. You reminded me why every generation has to answer the same garbage with clearer words, stronger spines, and better jokes. Different century, same libel, worse spelling. Am Yisrael Chai. Footnotes: Jewish Virtual Library, First Zionist Congress and Basel Program, 1897. Central Zionist Archives, the First Zionist Congress. 2. Norwich University, Six Causes of World War I. History Hit, the Four MAIM Causes of World War I. 3. United States Holocaust Memorial Museum, Invasion of Poland, Fall 1939. 4. United States Holocaust Memorial Museum, Introduction to the Holocaust and Documenting Numbers of Victims of the Holocaust and Nazi Persecution. 5. United Nations, UN Charter, United Nations Treaty Collection, certified copy of the charter signed in San Francisco on June 26, 1945. 6. Yale Law School, Avalon Project, Declaration of Israel's Independence, 1948. U.S. Department of State, Office of the Historian, Creation of Israel, 1948. World Bank Archives, Bretton Woods and the Birth of the World Bank, U.S. Department of State Archive, the Bretton Woods Conference, 1944. Board of Governors of the Federal Reserve System. What economic goals does the Federal Reserve seek to achieve through its monetary policy? And monetary policy, what are its goals? How does it work? 9. United States Holocaust Memorial Museum, an anti-Semitic conspiracy, the Protocols of the Elders of Zion, and a dangerous lie, the Protocols of the Elders of Zion. 10. Anti-Defamation League, 109 out of 110. 11. Bihar et al. No evidence from genome-wide data of a Khazar origin for the Ashkenazi Jews. Human Biology, via PubMed. Atzmon et al. Abraham's Children in the Genome Era. Major Jewish diaspora populations comprise distinct genetic clusters which shared Middle Eastern ancestry. American Journal of Human Genetics, via PubMed. Encyclopedia Britannica, Semite, and Semitic Languages. If you enjoy my writing, support me by buying my book, Screaming into the Void, available on paperback or Kindle on Amazon.com.